Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Sirens by Emilia Hart. This is a book from St. Martin's Press. It's coming out February 13th, or I guess it came out February 13th, or it's coming out in April. I'm not really sure. NetGalley and Goodreads have conflicting information on this. If it is already out, then fine, I guess. It's a contemporary fiction. It's a magical realism. I received this arc from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. I know, another magical realism. I keep pushing my luck, but I really enjoyed Wayward, so I figured I'd give this one a shot too. Despite its rather obvious plotline, The Sirens is nonetheless an enchanting story about the lies we tell and, like Wayward, the constraints put upon women. What is it about? A story of sisters separated by hundreds of years but bound together in more ways than they can imagine. 2019, Lucy awakens in her ex-lover's room in the middle of the night with her hands around his throat. Horrified, she flees to her sister's house on the coast of New South Wales, hoping Jess can explain the vivid dreams that preceded the attack, but her sister is missing. As Lucy waits for her return, she starts to unearth strange rumors about Jess's town. Tales of numerous missing men spread over decades, a baby abandoned in a sea-swept cave, whispers of women's voices on the waves. All the while, her dreams start to feel closer than ever. 1800. Mary and Eliza are torn from their loving home in Ireland and forced onto a convict ship headed for Australia. As the boat takes them further and further away from all they know, they begin to notice unexplainable changes in their bodies. So, to start, I'm not sure if we were supposed to infer the entire plot of the book in the first 30%, but by that mark, I had reasonably assumed every single plot twist. There's one thing that should be obvious to everyone from the cover and the jacket copy and the first 10 pages, though I'm not going to say it outright, but there are a few other things that seem like they should have been plot twists, but were far too obvious. I'm torn whether this is a big deal or if we were supposed to know this stuff and we were just supposed to watch the characters figure this out. I'm not sure if the latter makes sense. Regardless, I still found the book engaging and immersive. It's told in 3 different perspectives, which helped to break up Lucy's sections, which would have felt a bit, kind of belaborious otherwise, as her sections are a little bit drier. I did like the characters. Nothing about them was annoying or outlandish, but I didn't really connect with them beyond a superficial level. We're told Lucy's main issue in passing almost as an info dump, where it would have been harder hitting if we'd seen or been with her when she lived through it. With Jess, while I get that she felt isolated and alone, one of her decisions I didn't really understand. It felt a bit too convenient for the plot. The other, I think, required a bit more detail, as it painted someone who should have been villainized in almost a positive light, yet they weren't in the story for enough of it to be a real villain arc. While I did enjoy the kind of slow approach towards Lucy's story, it was kind of told in a drawn-out way. I also don't think we got enough time with the sisters before they were on the ship. Much like Lucy's issue at college and Jess's backstory, it's we're kind of told what happened to these women after the fact. It's not really woven in a way that I found particularly immersive. I guess I kind of, maybe the book should have been longer, or maybe Lucy's sections could have been shortened a bit to accommodate the other stories. It just felt like a little kind of who waited on Lucy, but Lucy doesn't really do a lot. So I don't know, maybe it's just a balance issue. In truth, I think Lucy's story might have just had the wrong focus. There's a bunch of lead up in the start of the book to murder mysteries in this town where Jess lives. But aside from a few times, Lucy doesn't really delve into it. It's almost like we're told kind of the outcome of the murder mysteries pretty much from the start. It's kind of obvious what's happening to them. This might even tie into the obvious plotline thing. So I think if Lucy's story had been an actual murder mystery, told that way, with her sleuthing around a lot more and the reason for the murders being less obvious, I think that would have been way more interesting and compelling than kind of going in knowing what had happened to the men and just waiting for Lucy to figure it out. And of course, like most magical realism, which is why, magical realism and I have a relationship where I just keep coming back despite lackluster moments. I found some things were not explained to my liking. I have a little spoiler section at the end here because I have some questions. And there were also some other plot points that weren't tied up. I'm not sure why this is. Was it because Wayward was so popular this book didn't get as much scrutiny in the editorial process? I don't know. I don't work at St. Martin's Press. The thing is, it seems like I'm like tearing this book down. I don't mean to. While I was reading the book, none of this was really the issue. The book has some excellent themes, including intergenerational trauma, and I found the writing very lyrical. I loved that it was set in Australia, which is a place I'm not super familiar with, and there were some lovely passages describing the water and the seaside. I really kind of could picture the settings. Despite the slower pace of some sections, I did find it an enjoyable read. I really, really liked reading it. It was kind of like after the fact when I was like thinking about it that this kind of stuff came up. I do think that Hart is a great writer. I think she has awesome potential. And while this one wasn't really a home run for me, I'd step up and swing at her next book. Oh wow, look at that, a sports metaphor. Because I think that she has a lot of talent. And this one I think it just kind of had a balance issue. I think that was the main thing. I mean, it is definitely enjoyable if you want a historical fiction / contemporary fiction / a story about women and sisterhood. I think you will really enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I would give it a 4-star, and maybe like a 3.5, rounded up to 4 because I'm nice. But yeah, it's not. I would say it is not as good as Wayward. If you want a very short review. Anyway, I do thank the publishers and Nick Alley very much for the e-copy. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to jump into a couple spoilers here, just because there's some things I kind of want to talk about, but I don't want to ruin the book for you if you do end up reading it. So yeah, thanks for checking this out if you're not sticking around. Okay, so this is just me asking questions. So, was it supposed to be that Mary was Jess's father? If so, how did she live for like 200 years? Do mermaids live 200 years? If not, did more mermaids in the interim get born? And how? Likewise, why would a creature intended for the sea give birth to something that can't survive in the water? I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, from an evolutionary perspective, I understand it's magical realism that some things are magical. You just have to accept the magic. But I guess my problem is I'm very logical. I mean, I'm an illogical person, but I have a very logical brain. And I'm just like, why? Why? Are there examples in nature of animals that... I think there is an animal... Like sea turtles, I guess, right? They climb out and they lay the eggs, but then the turtles come back. But sea turtles also can survive outside of water. Is there another animal that gives birth outside of water? I don't think so. Let me know. I might be thinking of some mythical animal. Anyway, I found that weird. Okay, also, I get that the sirens lured men to the sea with their singing. We all know what a siren is. But how did they know which men were bad and which men were good? Are these mermaid women coming out of the water and wandering around in the town? That's the thing. That's why I wish Lucy's story had a bit more of a mystery to it, because it could have been interesting if she'd met some of these mermaid women, these, I guess, immortal mermaid women who kind of pop into the town here and there and listen to the goss to try to figure out who the bad men are. That would have been interesting, or if she talked to one of them and that kind of gave her a hint as to who she was. I think there could have been a lot more done with that we didn't get. Also, are there other mermaids in the ocean, to train them how to be sirens? Do they just know how to do this? Or to train Mary and her sister? Also, why would they hang around in the bay? I can't remember why that was their choice, to hang around in this place where there was a shipwreck. Anyway, I don't know. Also, what did the nightmares have to do with anything? Were those connected somehow? Are mermaids all connected? I don't know. We're not told anything. And lastly, really, the mother just accepts that her husband had an affair with a mermaid, and then he brings back this baby, and she's like, yeah, I can't have a baby, so let's adopt this random weird mermaid baby. I don't know, that seems so strange to me. That was so weird. It would have been more interesting almost if we didn't have Jess's kind of story and we had the mother's story, who's not a mermaid, and her figuring out that Jess is a mermaid, that kind of thing, and then she could reveal Jess's story. I don't know. There were other things I think that could have been done with this book that would have made it a bit more compelling, and I feel bad because I hate kind of tearing books down, and I'm trying not to tear it down. I had so many questions. I'm also getting a text message. Anyway, thanks for checking this out, and let me know in the comments if you have any answers to my questions or if you have any questions. Thank you.